Limited. We're an IPP company. We have 4 IPPs in Lagos, ranging from about 2 megawatts to 8 megawatts. We use gas to generate electricity. Our customers range from people like MTN. We supply power to their largest switch and data facility in West Africa. We supply power to GAC automotive assembly plant and to many large and light manufacturers. People that produce lamps, that produce chairs, that produce shoes and so on. I think it's important to really just make this point that every single one of our customers, every single customer, commercial customer, industrial customer that we supply power to has purchased new plant and equipment. As they have stable power, they purchase more equipment. Every piece of this equipment, Nigerians have been hired to operate and to run them. So that means that every place that we've set up an IPP, Nigerians have been employed, industry has expanded. So when government talks about revitalizing the industrial sector, things like that, power is key. And because we have bottlenecks in the public utility, the transmission company can only handle, I think, about 6,000 megawatts. We have issues with the distribution companies, which we are working with. So in 2 of our plants, one of them we are close to Echo Disco substation, and another one we're close to Ikeja Disco substation. So we said, okay, why don't we start powering your substation? You don't receive enough light from the grid. Why don't we start powering you anywhere that we power? We can put in an escrow arrangement so that when the customer pays, we're sure that we get our own money. That way, we're bankable. The banks can fund us for this kind of project. But one of the major issues we found is that there's going to be a large amount of distribution loss. So as we're pumping in power into the substation, as that power is being distributed, there's distribution loss. So it's a shame that Lagos State isn't here. We've been talking with them, and they have committed that anywhere where we put in an investment and work with the DISCO, that they will put in money to upgrade transformers, cables, and other infrastructure. So that's where we are now. We use gas generators. We're connected to gas pipelines at all of our sites, and that's how we generate electricity. So going into solar, at 2 of our sites, we're installing solar and battery. And really for one main reason. One of our customers, MTN, is committed to getting to net zero by, I think, 2030 or 2040. I believe that they're getting incentives, financial incentives, I don't know whether from the UN or whoever, but they're incentivized to get to net zero, so they're telling us, their contractor, install solar. If you install solar, if you install battery, if you reduce emissions by this much, we will do this for you. So based on that, we're going out, we're raising money, we're going to our bank and saying, look, we need more money than normal. For 2 megawatts or 3 megawatts, we need X amount of naira. But we're going to need almost double that. Why? Because it's solar. But the return is too long and this and that, but we have some incentives. Look at what our customer is going to provide for us if we do this and install it. So we're doing it, but unfortunately only at 2 of our plants. It's difficult to raise money to purchase solar equipment. It's a lot easier for me to raise money to buy a gas generator. The banks understand that business, they understand how the equipment works. They're not worried that, okay, in a year's time, will it not work anymore, and things like that. So there has to be real incentive. We're an IPP company, we use generators, we use whatever we can to generate electricity the most efficient way possible. I'll give you another example of new technology that has been introduced to us is fuel cells. So I'm not sure if any of you have heard of fuel cell generators, almost zero emissions. So an OEM came to us, showed us this, essentially it's a box, no moving parts. Methanol or hydrogen is the input. There's a chemical reaction that happens inside the box. From that chemical reaction, electrons are extracted.
So the battery?
Sorry?
It sounds like a battery.
No, fuel cell. So the input is hydrogen, or is actually methanol. Methanol is more available. Inside the box, the methanol is turned into, or the hydrogen is extracted, the electrons are extracted from the hydrogen. Almost zero emissions. So we said, okay, so how do we bring this in? How do we incorporate it? Again, it's the cost. The cost of the machine is, the cost of the box is much higher than the cost of a gas generator. There's no real incentives to manufacturers that are struggling, that have to pay more for raw materials because the Naira has depreciated. Their bottom line matters, and we go to them and we say, look, we can save emissions, the environment will be better, you'll be able to breathe better. If we can charge you maybe double the tariff, they're not going to go for it. So I think if I'm to talk here, okay, a couple of things that we need that will encourage companies like us. Number one is funding. I know that's been mentioned. I don't think really at this stage that we can take foreign currency in terms of loans. We can't take loans from Norway, from Denmark, from Sweden, from the export credit agencies in foreign currency because we earn in Naira. What they can do, I think someone has mentioned it, is give us guarantees. If you guarantee a loan for me here, I can go to any of my commercial banks and they'll give me a decent interest rate, something that is workable. I think the second thing that has to be done, I believe there's someone from, is it UNDP or, okay, sorry, the gentleman has left. Something else that would be good is this incentive. We've heard about carbon credits, we've heard that you can earn them by reducing emissions, but we don't have access. Where's the access? Unless you're a multinational. Even if I go to my customers, my Nigerian customers, and I say, look, you can go to UNDP, and say, but where? I don't have time for that. Is there an office here? Can I apply? Is there a simple application process? So I think that if we have more information on that, again, this is something that can be done with the governments. You want to help us, you want us to buy solar instead of gas, instead of diesel. Bring in these incentives for us. I think the only other thing I'll mention, someone was talking about SPVs. Those definitely a way for us to move forward. From what we understand, the governments don't have a huge amount of money for CapEx. So if we're going to talk about development, they have to work with private companies. When you look at lending in Nigeria, a big part of it is how are you going to securitize, how are you going to collateralize that loan. Now with the SPV, we partner with the state government, we form a new company, it's a limited liability company. And if that company borrows money from the bank, it is most unlikely that the state will say, we're going to cover or we're going to guarantee that loan. So another way to do it is you have land. In places like Lagos, in Abuja, Port Harcourt, Ogun State, these are places where you have land that the banks will take as collateral. So state government, instead of sitting on this land is there doing nothing. If we partner, I will go to the bank, I will use that land as collateral, I will raise money, I will build a project, and we share the profits. At least there's development, at least people are getting, jobs are being created. So, okay, we don't have enough from the state, but those of us who know the states, let's go back to them and tell them that there's another way that you can work with the private sector. So I think, any questions?